Hi everyone, Katie here with a video on what I wish I'd known when applying for university from a master's student's perspective. So before doing my master's in music management, I did my music undergraduate here at the University of Sheffield. And when I started looking around different unis and applying for them, I had so many questions that I wanted answering straight away. Therefore, I've created this video on some of the questions that I had before starting university, which I hope will help some of you prospective students. Some of these questions include what is first year like, how do I pick my modules, and what comes after uni. So one of the many things that I wondered when I started university is, what is my first year going to be like? I was so excited but also really nervous when I started, as for many it was my first time being away from home and from its comforts, and it can be really daunting to start off with, especially living in a city that I've never lived in before and I didn't really know anyone or knew where anything was. However, the biggest recommendation I could give to anyone starting uni is to get involved in societies to meet people with common interests. It makes you get out of your flat as well as doing something other than uni work. So in terms of the societies within the music department, there is the Music Society, which is where a group of students throughout the music department can meet and socialise together. So socials can be anything from nights out to also non-drinking socials such as games nights, and there's always a big ball at the end of the year. There is also Music in the City, which is the department's volunteering organisation where you can go and do projects in schools and care homes, and it's a great way to give something back to the community. There are also lots of audition and non-audition music ensembles, from choirs to orchestras and bands, and there are loads of other different university societies which you can look on the student union website. So societies are a great way of making new friends, and you already have a common interest if you're both going to the same society, so it's a great way to expand your social network. One of the other things that I wanted to know before university is, what modules do I pick? So when picking your first year modules, I would suggest picking a really wide variety. In my opinion, the best thing about the Sheffield Music undergrad course and what really stood out is the breadth and diversity of it. So I wanted to try as many different modules from different areas as I could. In first year, there are a few core modules that you have to do, which automatically give you a really well-rounded learning experience. But for the few that you can pick, I would always try something new, as you never know, you might love it. In your second year, you get a bit more of a choice, and by the end of first year, I kind of knew which areas of music were my strengths and what I enjoyed the most. So when I picked my modules for my second year, I tried to think ahead as much as possible of what I wanted to do for my final year projects. So I knew I wanted to do a dissertation, so I picked essay-based modules which would help and prepare me for this, and by then my interests were musicology, music psychology and music industry, so I picked modules in those areas. By your third year, you have a final project to do, so I would recommend something that you know you will enjoy and know that you will do well in. The final project modules are dissertation, composition, performance and special project, and I personally didn't do a special project module, but a lot of my friends did, and they really enjoyed having complete flexibility of choosing what they wanted to do. That didn't really fit into dissertation, composition or performance. So one of my friends did something in music education which was really cool and practical. So you'll spend a lot of time doing your 40 credit module project, so make sure you love it. And you can do 2 40 credit project modules such as dissertation and composition, or you can do any of the project modules as 20 credit options as well. These project modules can give you the freedom to do whatever you want with the help of a supervisor who will help and guide you through the process. Aside from the final projects, I had to think strategically of what other modules I wanted to do in my third year, and so I looked back at what I enjoyed and what I did well in throughout my other 2 years, so picked modules accordingly from that. The other interesting thing is that you do your modules in second and third year together with the other respective year group, which I found really really interesting actually. As in my second year, it was really encouraging to have support from third years as well, who had been in the university experience and doing essay modules and assignments that for another year. So it was really good to get advice from them, and vice versa. When I was in third year, I really enjoyed helping second years if they had any questions. There is a slight restriction of how many credits you can do per term. So you do 120 credits throughout your year in your undergrad per year. But they can't be top heavy, so you can't do 80 credits one term, 40 credits one term, unless it's a special circumstance. And the different modules are split over 2 terms, so you could end up wanting to do 3 modules in one term, but that might make your weighting top heavy, so you might have to pick another module in the next term. But the department are really good at helping with this and give you lots of information about the assignments, how the lecture is taught on a big document. So my main piece of advice to pick modules is pick what you enjoy whilst trying to think ahead to do what you want for your final project. But then again, don't worry if you don't know what you want to do, because as long as you pick something that you enjoy, that's the main thing. The other thing that I wanted to know at the start of my uni experience and when applying for uni is, was there a massive difference between the 3 years? Like, was there a massive step up from second to third year? So I found my first year really fun and interesting. It was quite overwhelming as expected, but by the end of the first year I felt like I'd really settled in, made my friends, knew where I was going, and was looking forward to the next 2 years. Second year again feels pretty similar to first year, other than that you are quite conscious that the work you produce counts towards your overall degree mark. However, I felt very settled as I made friends and knew my way around campus really well. Unfortunately, the second half of my second year and my third year were dramatically affected by the pandemic. So I didn't really have a normal undergrad experience. However, generally it did step up a gear in third year because you have a big project to juggle as well as your other modules. And I would say it really hits home after the Easter holidays, as you don't have Easter to hide behind anymore, and final deadlines do approach quite quickly. Although once you submitted, the stress is all worth it, and the staff are really helpful and supportive throughout this final term especially. I think everyone, no matter what subject you study at university, is always concerned of what comes next. And that was certainly something that was on my mind, particularly in my third year. It is really scary to think about getting a job and going out into the big wide world. And I started thinking about this in my final year, which can be quite a lot to juggle alongside your third year studies and extracurricular activities and things. But I would suggest to start thinking about this sooner rather than later. It is also completely fine if you have no idea what you want to do. This is a really natural feeling to have. One bit of advice that I would suggest is perhaps looking into a master's. The music department offer loads of different varied master's programmes, and if you want to go into further education or on another year in uni or develop your skills further, I would thoroughly recommend looking into do this. As I said, as a year and a half of my degree were affected by the pandemic, I felt like I wanted to get more of my university experience back. So one of the many reasons why I chose to do my music management masters was because of this, and it was something that I didn't think I was going to do at the start of my first year, but I'm really glad that I have. Another thing that I would suggest is talking to members of staff about what to do next, because remember, they have been in our situations before, they know exactly what we're feeling. So speaking to them is also a good way kind of get a feel of what you want to do after uni. And I guess the other thing is decide whether you want to go into the music industry or not. But the main advice I would give is don't panic. Everyone is in the same boat, and not knowing what to do is a very natural thing. But make sure you end up doing something that you enjoy, whether if that's in the music industry or not. Anyway, I hope this video is helpful, and if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below. Thanks!